Yellow-billed loons in a changing Arctic, DNA disadvantage. Loons swim.
Every spring, thousands of breeding migratory birds return to the Alaskan Arctic to raise young. Among them, the rare yellow-billed loon. There are only an estimated 30,000 of these birds left in the world, 4,000 of which return to nesting lakes in Alaska annually. About 500 nest on the Seward Peninsula in Bering Land Bridge National Preserve and Cape Krusenstern National Monument.
A map of Alaska.
The species' drive to return to ancestral breeding grounds is incredibly strong.
A landscape.
In recent years, however, many of the bountiful Arctic lakes that have been used by these loons for thousands of years are disappearing as the climate warms. Rising temperatures are causing sea ice to disappear and Arctic landscapes to transform dramatically.
Ice strips.
As nesting grounds dwindle and ecosystems are tarnished, can yellow-billed loons adapt to a new world before their species is damaged beyond repair? The answer to this question may be in their DNA.
A helix straightens. Genes.
DNA is the molecule inside every living organism that carries genetic information. It can tell us a lot about individuals or populations of a particular species. Within DNA, specific sections called genes code for particular traits. Genetic variation is the diversity of genes in a population. The amount of genetic variation present is a good indicator of a population's health. High levels generally indicate good health, while low levels indicate poor health. Small populations of any given species are more likely to have lower genetic variation simply because there are fewer individuals with different genes. This can be problematic for populations faced with challenges like new diseases, exposure to pollutants, and changes in the physical environment.
Pictures of loons with a square, a circle, and a triangle. Text: imagine that the variations of a certain gene are represented by different key shapes. Yellow-billed loons might have genes with mostly square and circle keys in their DNA. Text: challenge. But diseases, pollutants, and other environmental challenges might require a triangle-shaped key for the species to adapt.
Examining the genetic diversity among Alaska's small, isolated yellow-billed loon populations is a crucial step in developing a better understanding of how a particular population, and the species as a whole, may respond to environmental challenges.
People walk on shore.
To do this, scientists collect samples of DNA by visiting the nest of a breeding pair of loons.
Eggs and nest.
Biologists swab the surface of each egg in the nest for trace amounts of skin or blood shed from the adults. Because loons take turns sitting on their eggs, these simple swabs give us valuable genetic information on both parents. Determining the levels of genetic variation in Alaskan loon populations involves taking a closer look at individuals' DNA.
Fingerprint.
A specific genotype, or genetic fingerprint for each bird, can be constructed from collected samples that allow us to identify specific individuals. Comparing these genetic fingerprints tells us how much genetic variation exists within a population.
4 fingerprints.
The preliminary results from loon egg swab samples indicate that yellow-billed loons in Alaska have much lower levels of genetic variation than other species of loons.
Map.
Distinct breeding areas and migration routes of yellow-billed loon populations allow for little interbreeding and gene exchange between them. The resulting lack of genetic variation could leave these rare loons little adaptive capacity to survive the emerging threats in their ecosystem. With so few loons already in North America, Alaskan birds may be in serious trouble. Shrinking breeding grounds, low genetic diversity, and a rapidly changing Arctic ecosystem are just some of the obstacles facing loon populations.
Text: how will yellow-billed loons respond to these challenging new conditions? A loon swims and calls. The challenges yellow-billed loons face may feel overwhelming, but there are simple things you can do locally to help loons globally. Reduce your plastic waste by investing in reusable items such as glass water bottles, metal straws, fabric shopping bags, etc. Recycle plastic and pick up trash, especially fishing line that could entangle and hurt loons. Use alternatives to lead sinkers and lead shot that are toxic and fatal when ingested by loons and other wildlife. Get the word out. A huge thank you to all of our partners who continue to work together to understand the status of yellow-billed loon populations in Alaska. Continued science communication, monitoring, and conservation efforts will contribute to the preservation of yellow-billed loons for generations to come. We acknowledge that the lands of Bering Land Bridge National Park and Preserve, Cape Krusenstern National Monument, and the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska, are located on the ancestral and unceded territories of the Inupiat peoples. The Inupiat peoples have held a relationship to this land for countless generations. We thank these indigenous communities for their long-held traditions of stewardship and for their partnership in conservation of lands for future generations. Presented by National Park Service. Co-produced by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Alaska Conservation Foundation. Production and special thanks credits. To learn more, please visit https://www.nps.gov/im/arcn/ybl.htm. Conservation Agency logos.